You know what I mean, Karen? Like, where did I take the camera?
You can go online to and do it there, or you just camera shop
Used to be one of Broadway. Just a lot of kids are going to be recognized
Is there any settings with those lights?
Just have shot so you guys can put on budget. And we'll get it probably about mid-August.
Probably got a light.
She's already got the
What does AV do?
It's in aperture mode, and it's open up the iris spot.
I don't know what happened.
Yes, sir. It's actually 4:31. I'll call the meeting to order. I will set a motion for approval of the agenda. Second. First and second, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Public comments, Chuck? Okay, no public comments, so I'll go adjourn. Motion and second. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now we'll call to order the actual board meeting. That was the work session. Now we'll call to order this meeting, and I will accept a motion or entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
First time we have recognition, I'm going to let Ms. Howellfield go ahead and start with first group, starting with DECA. So, Matt?
As you can hear out here, we have a large group tonight.
Yeah.
So I hope, Mr. Tanner, you're in shape tonight. Well rested.
Working out there.
Okay. May is usually a pretty big recognition because, you know, this is the culmination of the year, and we have a lot of students that we want to be sure that we get the opportunity to get in here and be recognized. So we're going to get started with DECA. There'll be some people that are not here. We still have a lot of activities going on, so we'll kind of quickly move past and just lay those there so we can get them to them later, okay? First group, Missouri Association of DECA Awards. We had 36 students that competed at the DECA State Career and Development Conference at Lake of the Ozarks in early March. 6 students qualified for the International Career and Development Conference, which was held in Anaheim, California. So, our first student is Emily Braden. Her accomplishments were hotel and lodging management. Lane Curtis, sports and entertainment. Emily Limbaugh, leadership governance. Ben Martin, sports and entertainment marketing team decision making. Betsy McConnell, marketing management team decision making. Mackenzie Word, marketing management team decision making. I'm sure he's at baseball, yeah. And their sponsor is Ryan Lindsay. I believe Ron couldn't be here today as well. Again, these 6 individuals did a great job. Said again, state competition, going to California and competing, and we're just very proud of you. You always do a great job at DECA, and thank you very much. Regional Teacher of the Year. One of our junior high teachers was nominated as Regional Teacher of the Year for the 17-18 school year. This is an honor that only nominated teachers that were nominated for District Teachers of the Year are allowed to be a part of. She will then be up for the Missouri State Teacher of the Year, and that will be selected from those individuals that received this, and that is Molly Sain.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Turn around and get your picture made there pretty quick.
Right there.
Okay, our next group, Health Occupation Students of America Award. I'm going to probably call that HOSA from here on out. The Health Occupation students from our Sikeston Career and Tech Center recently competed in the state HOSA competition at Rolla, Missouri. The Community Awareness Team placed first, and the Health Education Team placed second. Both teams won scholarships from Johnson & Johnson Corporation, and they will advance to nationals at Disney in Orlando, Florida in June. Yes. Lauren Hausman, Community Awareness Team, and also a scholarship recipient. She finished first place. If you would slide over to the end. First place again, Community Awareness Team and Scholarship Award winner, Hallie Kimball. Not here. Health Education Team and Scholarship recipient, second place, Carly Jenkins. Health Education Team and Scholarship recipient, placed second place, Hannah Razor. Health Education Team, Scholarship recipient, placed second place, Allison Sneed. Her daughter's graduating tonight, so she's not here, but they do a lot of hard work, and we're really proud of them. Thank you all. Look at that tag right there. This is again from our Career Tech, our SETC Skills USA State Leadership and Skills Conference competition. SETC Skills USA, again, had a very successful year. We always have a large staff, Mr. King. This year we had 70 students that competed in skill and leadership events. We took home a total of 28 medals, and we have 6 students that are now qualified for nationals. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First place in the national qualifier, community service, Annie Bankhead.
Out of order.
Sorry.
Congratulations. How are we going to do this?
Are they all that order?
No. I mean, where are we going to put all?
Oh, we're just going to line them. They're just
We'll
gonna
line them up.
Okay. All right. Start at the door.
Start at the door. All right. Community service and national qualifier, finished first place, Lauren Hausman. Community service, national qualifier, finished first place. Did I just say Hallie Kimball already?
No.
Okay, Hallie Kimball. Sorry, I lost my spot.
She's not here.
Not here.
She has a broken foot.
Oh, sorry. First place finisher, criminal justice and national qualifier, Austin Novak. First place television production and national qualifier, Andrew Skinner. First place in television production, Katie Basinger. Oh, Cody, I'm sorry, typo. Sorry, Cody.
Yeah, we'll give this to you. It's not correct. Sorry about that.
Welding Tech, first place, Arturo Franco. First place, Early Childhood Tech, Cheyenne Mosby. Nope. Okay. First place, Television Production, Dawson Sutton. Dawson also finished 4th in Digital Cinema Production. Second place, Welding Fabrication, Caden Bailey. Valerie Bard. Second place, auto refinishing, Curtis Barnett. Second place, informational craft bulletin board, Destiny Cook. Second place, welding fabrication, Clayton Cooper. Second place, informational craft bulletin board, Takara Dugan. No. Second place, dye sublimation, Taylor Ellison. Second place, customer service, Aaliyah Fox. Okay. Come on, let me just give that to her.
You're welcome.
Second place, television production, Zachary Hawkins. Not here.
I think they left, Mr. King.
I was told to scoot down.
Second place, television production, Dylan Eaton. Okay, second place, CPS Health Science, Carly Jenkins. Fourth place, commercial banking, Alicia Odom. Alicia also finished second in culinary arts. Okay, second place, early childhood, Katie Oliver. Not here. Second place, CPS Health Science, Hannah Razor. Second place, CPS Health Science, Allison Sneed. Second place, welding fabrication, Landon Hawkins. Third place, television production and national qualifier, Cody Basinger. Oh, we got it. Where'd he go? We got him. That was right.
We got this one right. Huh?
What do you got first?
Oh, we got first.
And the other one that we messed up.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna fix it.
Okay.
Okay, fourth place, informational craft bulletin, Precise Banks. Fourth place, promotional bulletin board, Tesla Gadberry. Fourth place, digital cinnamon production, Lindsay Greer. Fourth place, customer service, Veronica Hampton. Fourth place, informational craft, Lindsay Island. Fourth place, restaurant service, Shamara Murray. Fourth place, promotional bulletin board, Ashley Owen. Fourth place, medical terminology, Bethany Ramsey. Fourth place, early child, Kayla Wallace. Okay. Fourth place, promotional bulletin board, Ellie Whitten. Fourth place, dye sublimation, Ashley Wren. And the sponsors of this group, and there are several people to thank here. They do a lot of work. Mary Alsop. Dee Beidler. Steve Beidler. Andy Caden. Brian Henson. Heather Hoplinger. Again, Gloria Houston. Roger Mayo. Troy Riley. And Brent Trankler. Again, you can see a lot of kids involved, a lot of hard work by these sponsors. They go every year and represent Sikeston well, and we're just very proud of what you bring back to us every time. I know Mr. King's proud at the Career and Tech Center, so thank you very much.
Did you get one?
I did. Y'all didn't take any?
Yeah, she tried.
Okay.
Okay. What are we doing? We'll mail it to you. You want to mail it? Yeah, we'll mail it. Okay, our next group is math counts competition. Two students of the junior high placed at the regional math counts contest in Cape Girardeau. These students are eligible to advance to the state competition in Rolla. We have Ragad Alkalani. Ready for me yet? She's coming, okay. It was late going the other direction. Yeah, maybe so. Sorry. Oh, that's Tamara. Tamara McClinton. In the regional contest and is a state qualifier, so we're very excited. Is Ragad not here, Rose? Okay. And their sponsor is Mark Savage. Very proud of you all for all your hard work. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, this next group, I'm a little partial here. My family here. High school varsity boys basketball team. At the conclusion of the 2016-17 year, the boys basketball season, we're very proud of their team accomplishments, their awards, their honors. They finished the season with a record of 24-5. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call them all in, and then I'll kind of tell you some of their accomplishments, okay? Let's start with Elijah Faulkner. Face on Bobs. BJ Hill. Peyton Howard. Baseball. Trey Jenkins. Kevin Jones. Dylan Mills. Elgin Moore. Jason Moore. Larandis Phillips. Juan Ray. Camden Sapp. Baseball. Clark Stewart. Baseball. Fred Thatch. We have managers, Ben James. And Creighton Sirakis. Our coaches are Greg Hollifield. Will Hollifield. Ron James. Derek James. First thing we're going to do is talk about the team, and then we have a couple of individual things. This team was SEMO Conference Tournament champions, SEMO Conference regular season champions, St. Dominic Christmas Tournament champions, Fort Zumwalt Tournament champions, Class 4 District 1 champions, Class 4 sectional champions with a record of 24-5 overall. Did an outstanding job this year. We got Deshaun next year. We'll get them right, guys. Greg Hollifield, the coach, our head coach here, was SEMO Conference Coach of the Year this year. He's got a little certificate here.
You get another certificate.
And Fred Thatch, if you'd step forward just a little bit there, Fred. Fred was named first team All-State and also the SEMO Conference Player of the Year. You guys did a great job, brought us a lot of fun times in the field house, so thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Lastly, we have a presentation to two individuals that helped us tremendously with the Better Schools Make Better Communities Committee, and that was Bart Grant and Michelle Worth. And with that, we decided, I don't think Bart and Michelle are here, are they?
I haven't seen them, I don't think so.
Well, we'd like to present them, and we'll make sure that they get this. We got them a Master Teacher Apple, which just says, Better Schools Make Better Communities 2017. And we appreciate the assistance that they offer to the school district, to the administration and teachers, all the way down the line. They did a tremendous job in the effort that they put forth. And by the way, we did win on April 4th. So we're very pleased with that. We're excited about that. And it was because of their efforts that Bart and Michelle put forth. And so, thank you, Bart and Michelle. And I'll make sure that they get this gift. I'll never get that back on. So, let's go right into the informational part of the agenda, and that is the PAT program evaluation. Ms. Hobeck, you're up.
This is just some cumulative numbers so far as of yesterday when I ran these numbers. This year, well, first of all, we have one parent educator in our district still, Marilyn Schlosser. She's housed at the alternative school. I'm her supervisor as far as evaluating her, doing the financial part with Mr. Crater, taking care of all that. I'm still the PAT supervisor and still have my certification for that. She had 79 families that received personal home visits this year. That only varied from one. There was 80 last year, so it was very similar. 134 children received personal home visits this year. We did look at that number a little bit lower than last year. This year, she doesn't have as many families with multiple children. We looked at that. Last year, she had more that had multiple. This year, she has a lot that just has one or two in the homes. A total of 384 personal contacts have been made this year by Ms. Schlosser. 181 kids, birth to 3, have been screened, and that is right around what we were last year on that number. Our ages 4 to 6 screening is down slightly. We've screened 317 this year. I turned numbers into Mr. Crater too when we did our birth to 4 screening and our kindergarten screening. It was down a little bit, which could mean the kindergarten class coming up might be slightly smaller, or it could mean when we have that late screening August 1st, we have a big showing. Sometimes we never know. We have anywhere from 30 to 80 on that August 1st. So we have a lot of people move in, and we have a lot of people that miss the screening. They end up coming in August, so we get a big showing. Right now, our numbers look pretty stagnant for the kindergarten classes, maybe slightly smaller. But as far as our other numbers on visits and birth to 3 screenings, we stayed fairly the same. Marilyn's doing a good job while she can do it for one person. I know we talked a little in the past, PAT funding were to change somewhat. That's been cut drastically the last several years. I think it's looking a little bit better lately, though. That's something that I know me and Mr. Crater have looked into. It would be worth us hiring a part-time educator, maybe to help do some visits, or full-time. But we have to look over the PAT funding stands on that.
So historically, Jane, it was a matter of what, 4 years ago, we
Yes,
had
it's-
2 people
Yes, about
Full-time.
about 4 years ago. And then when I left it, we had, when I was doing that, 13 years ago, we had full-time people. And then we stayed, first 4 or 5 years, principally stayed with full-time people. So then it's gradually, we have one retire, one moves here, and we kind of lessen that. So if that's something we can look into, if funding changes, that would be really good. Because I really truly believe that's the first and best connection that we're going to make to getting these people into our school district and staying with us. As I looked up here, I was telling Ms. Clyde almost Porter, a lot of these kids up here getting honors and stuff, I had as babies in the homes. So I had lots of them. Beryl Clinton and Emily Limbaugh, and, these kids, I had all as babies in homes. That's pretty cool to see. So that's what our numbers look like this year. Maryland's doing a great job. I think it works out having our work alternative school too with that location. We'd love to have her at kindergarten, but we're out of space there, so it's worked out really well together. So if you guys have any questions?
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you.
It's that time of year, so we're ready for Mr. Bays to report on graduation procedures. Mr. Bays?
Am I good here, or do I need to move?
You're fine.
Okay.
Perfect.
In your packet, you should have 2 different game plans here, plans of attack for graduation ceremony. I'll start with the outdoor. I don't know which order yours are in, but I'll start with the outdoor. The outdoor ceremony is set for May 23rd at 7 o'clock, and I'm not going to read all this. I'm just going to hit the high points for you, the new board members, so you'll have to kind of have an idea what's going on. If there's inclement weather, 50% chance of rain in the forecast within 2 days of us having it, we will make that call between high school administration, central office administration. We'll make that call whether or not it's going to be inside or outside. Gates open at 6 for the general public. Students will arrive in the A building, and we have the administration up there, and we line them up and we get them going. If you haven't been to our outdoor graduation, it is very unique. It's very neat. And if you have any favors from anybody, you want to pray that there is no rain, because it is definitely much better outside. The students will be escorted down, walked across the track, come out through the bulldog, go around the stage, and then be seated. And we've got this down almost to a science. 6:50, they're in their seats, and we're rolling by 7 o'clock. At the end of the ceremony, students will exit the way they came in and up on the practice football field for parents and things of that nature. We had senior awards last night. Ali Enex will introduce Mr. Williams, superintendent. Cam Sapp will introduce Mr. Tanner, board president. Chris Breaker will introduce myself. Darby Self will be giving a speech. Luke Blanton will be giving a speech. And Emily Braden will be giving the senior poem. So that's the outdoor. The indoor is much the same. We will still meet in A building. The doors will open at 6. The students will walk down, and in years past, they had to walk in the rain, but now we got the new awning, so we're great there. So they'll walk down, they'll enter through one of the garage door openings, and then they'll come in, walk either side, come up on the stage. And I think I'm the only administrator still at the high school that has done one on the indoors, and it's been a while, and I'm trying to forget it. I really so, but we will walk through. The students will be behind you on the stage. Board members will sit up in front, and then receive their diplomas, and then we'll exit. And then the only thing about exiting is we will go out. For those of you who know the field house, the basketball doors. We'll go out there, and then parents can meet them out on the practice football field.
In the rain.
I'm sorry?
In the rain.
Yeah, that they want. As part of that, you can see that we do have plenty of supervision there, both inside and outside. DPS helps us secure the buildings. If it's outside, they help us with securing the traffic on the roads and things of that nature. So we do have this game plan. I have not sent this out to the elementary administrators and the other administrators that help I just wanted to make sure we were all good before I did that. We do have one hiccup, and should I guess bring that up, Mr. Williams?
Sure.
This year, we could have a possibility of missing about 15 students if we move forward in sectional baseball as well as soccer. It falls on that night. And we have petitioned the state, MISHA, and they will not budge. It will be played for several reasons. We hold the line on not changing the date of sectionals. Part of it's because of baseball pitch rule. You know, if you have a starting pitcher, you want to make sure he gets that fourth date. The manual allows the games to be played as early as 4 o'clock. So if we would have to travel, there's just no way our students would be back. And so this has created an issue for us. You know, it's a good problem to have. We want our teams to go all the way, but we could have some students there that do not make this. Now, to remedy this, this year, prior to school or setting our graduation date, we did take a survey amongst parents and faculty members, and it was right at 61% of the parents preferred to have graduation on Sunday. That's what we proposed, was having it on Sunday. And 66% of those parents, when they, like I said, when they responded, it was all in favor. We had some comments like, I work during the week at night, can't get off. Travel time is always an issue. I don't want to stay up late because, you know, blah, 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 we're missing graduation. And so right now, everything is favorable from our last survey that we did to move it to Sunday. So this year, myself, Mr. McGill, and we talked to central office personnel, for next year's graduation, we're talking about setting it for May 20th, which will be a Sunday, and that way we can avoid situations like we're in right now. And we talked to other schools,
Kelly does.
Kelly, Fredericktown, Farmington, Kate, Jackson, you know, they've all been, they said it's one of the best things they do is just set it on Sunday. Out-of-town travelers, things of this nature. So we can fit it in between church times, you know, after 1 and before 6. So we can get it in there. Our graduation normally lasts about an hour and a half, depending. So
So
you know.
is it's too late to do that this year and change it?
Yeah, it's too late right now. So we're where we're at. We're holding pat, and we're just gonna move forward for next year.
I've already received a graduation announcement.
Right. And now, I mean, once those, you know, those things had to be sent out. You know, they'd be printed for our kids and things like that. So it would just be too much of a nightmare.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Right. So that's graduation in a nutshell, and what you can look forward to next year.
Mr. Bays,
Yes, sir.
if it makes you feel any better, I just want you to know I'm the only standing board member that's participated in the inside graduation. So I know how you feel there.
You got the farmer connection. Let's make sure it's nice and sunny, okay?
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
All right, there you go.
One thing that Mr. Bays is going to do as well is that each family, or each parent, or I should say each child, is going to be given tickets. And there'll be 10 total tickets.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry. Yeah, if there is an indoor graduation, we will practice on May 23rd at 8 o'clock. If it's nice outside, we will be out on the practice football field. If it's raining, we will practice. We'll move our indoor. And at that time, each student will receive 10 tickets. They get 4 floor seats and 6 bleacher seats. So, and again, if you haven't been in indoor graduation, you really, really want it to be outside.
Amen.
Questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you.
Steve. Next, we have the report on closing of school, Ms. Hallfield.
Closing of school for 2017, as Mr. Bays just said, graduation is May 23rd at 7 o'clock. at the public school stadium. In case of inclement weather, we'll be in the field house. The class of 2017 parade is the morning of May 17th. They have gotten together, Ms. McGill, Mr. Bays, they have scheduled with all the buildings and campuses in our district, and they will be taking the graduating seniors through the buildings. If they went to Lee Hunter, those kids will be taken to Lee Hunter. If they went to Matthews, those kids to Matthews. Southeast, they will all go, correct me if I'm wrong, to junior high and to 5th and 6th grade, am I correct? And one, okay, and kindergarten, yeah, and kindergarten. Sorry, Jenny.
That is such a neat.
Let you out. Yeah, it's going to be really good. We did it last year for the first time, and it was exceptional. I think it's going to be even better this year. A lot of fun for those youngins to get to see those kids walking with their cap and gown and give them a little motivation to see where they're headed. So, a pretty good deal, I think. The seniors enjoy it too, I believe. Seniors' last day is the May 19th. Early release is at 10:30. New Horizons graduation celebration. The New Horizons students do graduate with us, but if you haven't had an opportunity to go to their celebration, it's May 19th at 10 a.m. It's really something to see them, and they perform, they do the music. They just have a really nice little celebration there in their school of their students, and there's approximately around 40 students that will be graduating from New Horizons. So that's just their little personalized celebration, and it's great. It's a really good time for those students. The last day of school is May 25th. Early release times for May 25th. High school, 5th and 6th grade, 11:20. Junior high, 11:40. Our elementaries are at 12, and kindergarten, 12:15. And then we're going to follow up June 21st with administrative staff meetings for the next school year and in preparation for the next school year with the administration. Any questions? Oops. Sorry, Mike. Is that Mike?
Thank you, Sharon. Before I move into the next item, I want to remind everybody, the board members, to meet at 6:30. Typically down around, let's say off to the northwest part of the stadium, down around that large double gate. And if it's inside, we'll meet by the field house classroom, is where we, at 6:30. Scott brought to my attention too, last year the board members had specific spots to park, and I'll make arrangements that you get some place to park this year as well. So you'll have, was it a tennis court parking lot? I believe, yeah. We'll have you on the tennis court parking lot again. Okay, next we have the student enrollment as of May 1st, 2017. You can see the information that I've listed. In that, it is 3,285 students. We're down 22 students since our last enrollment in April. K through 6 enrollment is at 1,875. We're down 9 students. 7 through 12, we're down 11 students at 1,294, and the alternative school is at 116, and we're down 2 students. Also in there, we included some averages from way back in 2006, I do believe, and 2006-07 school year, yes, that's correct. It gave you the average all the way to the present. You can kind of see the trend that is going on with our enrollment numbers.
I noticed it's about, for every year that's shown on the chart, on the graph, it's about 100 students less at the end of the year than at the beginning.
It is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. And it was really kind of interesting if you go through that data, what is taking place, and the number of kids, especially at the secondary level. Notice there's a huge drop off at the secondary level compared to the elementary.
Did they just move? I mean, is there?
Some of them homeschool, some of them move, some they may, at the high school, they may go to the alternative school, so that the high school number may go down, but the alternative school number goes up. And then they will graduate, and then that number will go down again, if that makes sense. So they may graduate in October, November, or December, and so then after completing their credits, and they may move on. But this has kind of been a trend for us over the last several years that we have talked about.
It's interesting that almost each one is an uptick right around December.
Mm-hmm. It is. I am also going to I'll email this to you. This is kind of an interesting chart. I don't recall who asked for this year. I think it may have been Jim. As far as the percentage of folks that start with us in kindergarten and go all the way through, and I'm going to send you that graph because I think that's a pretty important piece of information that you can review. For example, this particular year, this year, we have about 65% retention. We lost 106 kids from kindergarten all the way through to 12th grade. Last year, we lost 131 kids. So I'll get that information to you so you can review that. Next is the student discipline data. That information is there for you to review. As always, it has the kids in each building, the incident, whether it's an ISS or OSS, and also the number of days, and so on and so forth. Next, we have the board policy consideration, and new board members note that we have 30 days in order to, the board has 30 days in order to review these. So these are simply here for you to review, to look at. Please make sure you look at these. If you have questions on these, we can talk about that during our next board meeting, because there's quite a bit of information within these new board policy consideration. Ms. Hallfield?
Do you go through each one, or do you want me to just take questions? Or?
We can go ahead and go through and just highlight.
That's kind of what I was going to do. I just want to be sure that's the same page.
That's exactly what I was.
Okay, BBE. You'll notice that Senate Bill 638, state tax statute, this was amended regarding filing vacancies of the school board. So this, basically the statute requires that the county commission, if there are 3 or more vacancies at one time, step in. So that's kind of a highlight of that one. GBL, personnel records. This policy has been updated for clarity and to comply with the requirements of the Every Student Succeeds Act. Several of these are amended or changed as a result of that change. MSBA now clearly states the items parents and guardians may have access to upon their request. In addition, they've expanded the policy to address how personnel records will be stored and maintained. GBLB, this is on references, and this has been pulled from 2014 update. So it is up now, but it was actually brought, I guess, it's going to be a local amendment, and that was all worked on back in 2014.
Yeah, and actually, even prior to that, it was brought before the board in the spring of 2012. Before well, Scott, you would have been here during that time period. I think, Brian, you were just on board during that time period. So there's been quite a few additions to this policy since that time.
It's been a holding process, and we've talked, and we think probably needs to, she said, let's put it on this update. So basically, it is about references and changes that were made. HB 505, which requires school districts to provide certain information when an employer, certain schools call. So it's about references. GCPD, this policy was revised to comply with House Bill 1432. This requires public employers such as school districts to provide employees placed on paid administrative leave due to misconduct with certain rights. Okay, and some of those are written notice, and so you'll look at that there. That's pretty cut and dry based on statute. GDPD, this is suspension of support staff members. Again, this is revised as a result of House Bill 1432, and it is dealing with the exact same thing, just with support staff. GCB, intradistrict transfers. MSB has rewritten this policy for clarity, and again, we're removing the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001. Basically, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act was reauthorized as the Every Student Succeeds Act, and so this is going to go into effect next school year.
Which one are you on, Shannon?
JCB.
JCB.
Oh, you said GCB.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry.
What?
Gave you the wrong letter. JCB.
No, I get it.
Sorry.
I just-
They're in order in your packet, aren't they? I mean,
You're right.
Scott and I were going,
sorry, JCB. Okay, JFCL. I've had a mouthful tonight with all the letters and the word recognition. JFCL, A+ schools. Basically, this is just for clarity. This regulation now requires students to have maintained good citizenship throughout high school, not just for the last 3 years. So that one's dealing strictly with that. And then lastly is JO. MSBA has updated this policy to reflect changes, again, from the Every Student Succeeds Act. This has a lot to do with, once a student is 18 years old, they can actually opt themselves out of disclosure, whether or not their names are released to the military and that sort of thing. Okay? So, y'all got some good reading, history reading to do. 30 days.
All right, lastly, under information, we have the naming of the new elementary facility. And this has been a piece that Scott Matthews has brought before myself last fall. Kyle, he's been speaking with you about this, Matt, and I think some other individuals he's been talking with. And maybe Kyle, you would like to go ahead and touch on this as far as what Scott had proposed with you.
Well, Scott had proposed to me, he donated the land, and I think this is really his only ask, but his mother's maiden name was Wing, W-I-N-G, and he requested that we rename the new elementary school Wing Elementary instead of Matthews Elementary, which I thought was, it's still within his family, and because of his kind donation, I don't really have a problem with it, but we'd like to open it up for any discussion.
Some of his reasoning for it was there's lots of things with the name Matthews on it, and he would like to give a little more credit, a little more recognition to his mother's side of the family.
I believe it's already,
I think that because of the donation that he gave and what it means to us to be able to have that land, I don't see anything negative about it.
what I'll do then is next month, I'll go ahead and put this under required action. We'll go ahead and just vote on it, and we'll name the new elementary building. So,
The ones that have been named in the past, have you done any research to see why Lee Hunter was named Lee Hunter or Matthews?
I haven't gone that far.
Lee Hunter is named after Lee Hunter, who founded
Yeah.
Hunter Engineering in, I think it's out near Earth City. It's a huge engineering company.
Did he get the land?
He's just a Sikestonian, and he's done a lot. Google him, he's a pretty impressive guy. Otherwise, but anyway, that's where Lee Hunter came from. Southeast part of town.
Self-explanatory.
But the names are, yeah, he was a Sikestonian, he was born.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, beginning with the required action, or request permission to schedule an executive session to discuss personal matters immediately following this meeting.
I'll entertain a motion to schedule an executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kronebecker?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Boyce?
Yes.
Mr. Mays?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Next item, we have the consideration of a resolution authorizing and directing the issuance, sale, and delivery of $8 million of general obligation bonds. I'm going to turn it over to the folks that, Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle. Michelle Box here with us, so she's going to go ahead and explain this information to the Board of Education.
Is it okay if I just sit?
You may, you may.
Jenny back there. Thank you. I am very thrilled to be here this evening and congratulate you all on a really overwhelming success of the bond collection. Well deserved, and so thrilled for you all and for the kids of Sikeston. I'm going to introduce also Jason Terry and Jenny Brooks from Gilmore and Bell. They are bond counsel and have drafted the resolution that is before you and are very instrumental in this process. The reason we're here this evening is we have begun the process enabling the issuance of $8 million of general obligation bonds. And our plan is, because interest rates are so low and the timing is great, to go ahead and schedule a competitive bond sale for May 31st. A competitive sale allows any firm or bank who is interested in bidding on those bonds to bid on May 31st, and whoever provides the lowest interest rate gets to purchase the bonds. So it's a very transparent, competitive process for this district. And tonight, what we have is a resolution authorizing the sale of those bonds and the issuance of those bonds. We will not have to come back to the board in full again if this resolution passes this evening. We have parameters under which the bonds can be sold, and the people, the president, secretary, and so forth, who need to sign the documents will be enabled through this resolution to go ahead and sign the documents on and after May 31st. And then by mid-June, the district will have $8 million to begin funding the project. I know we've got a ways to go in terms of actually getting those, the project funded, but it'll be available and hopefully at really low interest rates that can lock in the whole financial plan. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the process or the bond issue.
So today is what, the 9th of May? I mean, is the 31st, is that pretty, I mean, is that pretty standard, 20 days, 21 days?
So, yes, we are in the process of getting the rating, and we actually have a call with S&P, the rating agency, on Thursday that Lori will be taking, and I will be on the phone as well. And after we have the rating, we publish a notice of sale that lets bidders know that the bonds are available, and we like to have that available for about 2 weeks. So that gives us a couple of weeks to make sure that people know the bonds are going to be sold.
Do you have any anticipation as to what the rating will be?
Well, I will clarify, we'll be using the direct deposit program, which is a AA+ rating, and then the district's underlying rating, which I believe is A+. And that's, even though we use the Missouri direct deposit program, which has that AA+ rating, it benefits the school district to have their own underlying rating. But it's not terribly, it doesn't affect the interest rate that much, but it's a really good thing, especially if you're doing a competitive sale, to have the underlying rating in addition to direct deposit.
Are you familiar with, are you familiar with the direct deposit program? General obligation bond issues for school districts can go through what's called the Missouri Direct Deposit Program. And what will happen is state aid will be intercepted and sent to pay the debt service on the bonds. And then your debt service levy will be collected as it normally is at the end of the year, and that can be used for operations as your state aid would. And so by virtue of intercepting the state aid, you get the benefit of this AA+ rating, which will obviously help with, potentially help with your interest rate cost. So it's a program that's offered to school districts, but only on general obligation bonds. And I believe the district's 2011 and 2005 bonds both went through the Missouri Direct Deposit Program.
Good. I mean, I'm excited that we're getting this out there to capture those low interest rates. So I'm really, I thank you for, getting right on that.
So it'll just go to one financial institution, right? It's kind of a winner-take-all bid?
Yes,
Won't be
but
chopped.
many times the bidders actually are a syndicate that might have more than one financial institution as part of
Sell
it.
off, yeah.
Yes, so it could be that, say R.W. Baird, who's a big bidder out of Chicago, they oftentimes have 10 financial institutions, including banks. So it could very well go to more than one, but it's just that one, whoever provides the lowest cost is the winner.
Have you ever had two people or two entities offer the same rate?
No, we've had to go out to like the third decimal. But I've never had, because it's called the TIC or true interest cost, that rate goes out as many decimals as we need. So normally you're not that close, but I have had it go out to the third decimal. So it's usually within 5 basis points or 0.05% between the best bid and the second best, but that can vary. That's a great question though.
And I don't want to hold you to this, but if you had to guess, what kind of interest rate do you think we might get?
Well, when we ran it most recently, we were estimating a 3%. essentially, right at 3% true interest cost. So that's over the term, the 20-year term.
Any other questions? This administration's recommendation to consider the resolution authorizing and directing the issuance, sale, and delivery of $8 million of general obligation bonds.
Entertain a motion to,
Make a motion to receive the recommendation.
motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Guess we're gonna sell some bonds.
Thank you all.
Thank
Very much.
Very much.
2.5%.
Is it possible to allow them to field any questions at this point about what's in the consent agenda so they could get back on the road? Is that allowed to jump around on the agenda that way? Because it might save them a half-hour travel time.
Yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and have them do that, and they can just vote on it.
What we're referring to, board members, is, I believe it's item D, approval of Gilmore and Bell disclosure and compliance services.
Sure, so these bonds will be publicly offered, so the winning bidder is going to sell these bonds. They're most likely not going to hold all $1 million. And because of that, these bonds are considered publicly offered. And unlike the general obligation refunding bonds, which were sold last year to one bank, and when bonds are publicly offered, with that comes some securities laws obligations. So the district will have what's called continuing disclosure obligations. So we have prepared an offering document, which we call a preliminary official statement, and eventually, once the bonds are sold, it will be a final official statement. And in that document, there is financial and operating information all about the district. It's much like a prospectus with stocks. And investors will use that information to decide whether they want to bid on the bonds and what interest rate they want to bid on the bonds. Because the bonds will be publicly offered, the district will have an obligation each year to provide the audit of the district and some of the pertinent information in that offering document. Most of that relates to tax collection information, major property taxpayers. Really what it goes to is, the debt service levy is being pledged to pay these bonds. And so investors want to know, well, are they levying the levy? Are they collecting the levy? So that's the kind of information that needs to be updated each year. Our firm provides these services to many of our clients, and so that's what this proposal does. We would be engaged for a 5-year term to help prepare this annual report, is what it's called, and then we file that document, and we make sure that that document is complete and filed on time each year, so the district can be in compliance with their securities law obligations with these bonds. And again, this is different than the bonds sold last year, where you have one bank who made a credit decision to buy those bonds. And so that's kind of the difference. Obviously, I know some of you were involved with that transaction. And we didn't have those obligations on that transaction.
Is this for, obviously this is a 20-year bond, after 5 years?
Well, and the reason it's 5 years is because you can, out of bond proceeds, you can pay up to 5 years of the service. But yes, we can be engaged on an annual basis going forward after that. So yes, that's why it's a 5-year engagement, which can be terminated at any time.
Lori, was this done with the math and science building?
Wasn't necessary
It wasn't
at that
required?
time. No, there's been some SEC rule changes. And we recently used Gilmore and Bell actually to help us this fiscal year for some lease participation that we did in 2012, because since we did those, the rules had changed and they did some closing documentation for us. And we do a lot of the grunt work in gathering the data and getting it to them. They just make a nice final report that is presented that has all the bells and whistles and meets all the criteria, so we don't miss it, because obviously I'm not a lawyer. So that way it's just clean and precise, and we know we're in compliance, and it will help then at the sale of the bonds to know that they are in place and we have hired them for those services. And we probably could have gone forward and just had them do that, but because we just want to make this a very transparent process because they're working with us as bond counsel and this is not required as part of their hat as a bond counsel. We just wanted to bring this to the board since it came up and just have it in the minutes that this was approved if the board chooses to do so.
And Lori, we're hoping that with some new resources, we can complete more of the grunt work and send it to you for review. And because you're right, a lot of this is information that the district has, and it's just like the preliminary official statement. Lori has been instrumental in getting us all the information we need for that. And but there are, as times have progressed, there are now more sources on the internet where we can pull tax collection data, and the counties have that information more readily available than they used to in, say, 2012, and we had to bang on Lori's door and ask her for all the information. So hopefully it will be getting easier.
And we don't mind the grunt work. We'll just all sleep better that for a nominal fee, a lawyer has signed off on what needs to be reported to the SEC. I just sleep better.
Any other questions?
So Lori, I take it you're recommending this to be a good idea?
Yes, I am highly recommending that this is a great idea.
I don't have any more questions, so they're on our consent.
It's on consent, yes.
Do you guys need any signatures from us tonight?
Not this evening.
Okay.
We will, on the day of the bond sale, which is May 31st, if the President and Secretary are available by email, there are 2 documents we would like signed on that day. But they don't have to be originals, and if we can coordinate by email. And then shortly thereafter, we would like to set up a time to sign the documents because, as you may or may not remember, there's a transcript that needs to go to the state auditor's office. And the state auditor's office will give a stamp of approval on your bond issue. And in order to allow them enough time to review that before we close, which I believe is roughly 2 weeks after the bond sale, we would want to gather those signatures on all the bond documents shortly after the May 31st sale date. But otherwise, we don't need any signatures.
Sounds good.
Great.
Just know what you need.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks for having us.
Drive safely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the consideration of the FY17 budget adjustment. You can sit.
Oh, I'm all right.
Okay.
I actually been sitting a little long.
Okay.
May lay down in bed, you never know. This is simply cleanup. One is for Mike Brown's sake. He's going to talk to you about the HVAC, well, the chiller at Southeast that we need to purchase that we knew was coming. We were just hoping we wouldn't have to buy it now. So we are moving some money around between capital paint to HVAC to cover the cost of that chiller. He's going to wind up having several new employees with secretary and a couple of maintenance guys between now and July 1, so we needed to move some money around for uniforms. And then we also needed to move some money around for electrical. Some of that electrical will be tied to the chiller at Southeast. So this is not doing anything to affect the bottom line. It's $18,000 that we're literally robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so it does not have any adverse effect on the bottom line whatsoever. And then at SCTC, this is exciting, I think. We have the ability for a building and trades class next year to build basically a lean-to onto the welding shop. They need it for storage. And so it will be the 17-18 building and trades class, but they can't do some of the concrete work and some of the prep work. So Mike and them will start doing that for them over the summer so it's ready to go when the kids come in. And so we're looking to move $9,000. Chad went through his codes and found the money to do this because we told him it couldn't be done if he didn't find excess. So it's a very odd amount. He found $9,727.64 that we're moving from other codes over to get him as far into that project as he can. And I probably could have rounded that up. But again, this is just moving from one code to another, not affecting the bottom line. So, and then next month, just kind of a little preview, we will have some cleanup that may have some effect on the bottom line, but we'll get to those later. I just didn't have time to get them done for this month.
I would make a motion that we approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
Just a quick question. These places where he's pulling from, that's not going to affect anything that they have?
No, sir. No, sir, it is not. It is, it's areas where either things came in cheaper, or as they got into the school year, they didn't need as many due to the enrollment in the class, or the possibility that we got some more Perkins for our classroom that we were able to use Perkins money for.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? If no, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next, we have the consideration of renewal of health insurance for June 2017 through May of 2018.
I'm supposed to express for, on Beth Johnson's behalf, she is landing in Cleveland in about 5:30. So she is available if we need her via phone, if she's where she can turn her phone on. But we really don't have any new information. That was one of the reasons we wanted to handle the process a little bit differently, and we've had the entire work session, and so there's really not any new information. The only new information that we have from the work session to now is on one of the changes was the preferred drug list, and where that would not only save us on our weekly claims because we would be using less expensive drugs, there would also be a higher collection of rebates for the district, and the estimate when we had the meeting on April 24th was that we would probably collect about another $35,000. Some of the rebate information that has come in since then, we're hoping we'll collect is $47,000 to $49,000 rebates, so that will help that claims paying account. So just to hit the highlights, as the board knows, we're self-funded, which means we set our premiums annually to cover the administrative costs and the weekly claims. That's our goal, is just to have enough money to pay the bills that come in. Our claims paying account is very low. Checked with Yolanda today. The bank we have $242,000 in the bank today. But again, keep in mind, we will have summer checks, and they will basically be collecting 3 months of premiums going forward. And because we have a June 1st renewal, and one of the recommendations is that the board go to 85%. If that's approved today, that will start generating more money. So when you put in 1 month, 3 months of premiums, that account will go up, and our goal is to have that account to $500,000 by the end of summer. I will, on a side note too, one of the reasons we will have to look at a budget adjustment is because we are going to have 3 months of a rate increase and the possibility of the board paying 5% more for those 3 months. So we may have to look at shuffling some money around in the budget to cover some of those extra benefits. But we hope to have $500,000 by the end of the year. We had collected this year premiums based on hoping we would have about $3.5 million in claims. Told the board in April we're going to end the year at $3.94 million, which was just a bad year. Thank goodness people had insurance, and that's what it's for. So that's the reason for our low balances. There's nothing wrong with the account. I still think self-funded works for the district. We're not trying to make a profit on this. We just need to have a little bit more than $242,000 in there. But with the changes we're going to make, I think it will be a good year. The broker worked with the actuaries on several scenarios that would help control costs. The worst renewal we saw was a 30% increase. The best renewal we got was a 19% increase. Keep in mind, administrative on that only saw a 3% increase. Our big increase on either one of the renewals was just simply because we had high claims. To get the 19%, there's some big changes. St. Francis needs to be out of network so that we can keep our discounts with Southeast Hospital. We need to implement the premium drug list, which means that if drug A is $500 a month and drug B is $2,000 a month, we're going to ask our members to use drug A because it will save on the claims paying account. As I discussed with the board last month, we already know there's only 17 members affected, and mainly these are diabetic drugs and asthmatic drugs. We already know of a diabetic that's not going to be able to use the other option. We will work with individuals and their doctors when that comes into play, because you just can't make this work for all 417 lives. So we will work with them as individuals. It's recommended along with that because Diabetics can be very expensive to any health insurance plan, so it's very important that they stay compliant with their drug regimen. So in this, we're paying 100% of any of their drugs and supplies. We get a $1.14 return for every dollar we spend. That's what the actuaries projected. So that will help them as well. They may have to change off the drug list what they're using, but they're not going to have a deductible even on their test strips and those types of things. So that will help a little bit with those individuals as well. We're going to implement, not as part of the 85% that I'm going to recommend that the board pay, but as part of the claims paying account, that we go ahead and purchase ARIVAC memberships for our employees. It's a little perk that we can do for a nominal cost. What we're starting to see in our area is the plan's only going to pay probably about $10,000 on a helicopter transport. And then a lot of times these companies will do the billed amount will go back to the employee, and then the employer almost always has to step in and make a decision. And with a self-funded account, that would hit our claims paying account pretty hard. So if we do an ARIVAC membership, then we can protect the families and the self-funded accounts against those billed charges for the difference. The claims paying account's still going to pay the $10,000, but we're not going to have to be in this room to make a decision on whether we need to help a family pay another $46,000. So, and we can do this again. I don't have the numbers because we have spouses that are on the plan. But like I told the board on the 24th, even if every belly button on the plan we paid a membership for, then we would have, it would be less than $14,000. So it's a very easy decision on my part to recommend that. And then we know that since the 10-11 school year, we've been deferring 5% to the claims paying account because it was healthy, and we had the money to do that. We didn't want, at that time, we had been working with freezing salaries and trying to keep people employed and dealing with some very hard times. And so we didn't want the employee to be out any more out of pocket. We wanted active members to stay at 15%. The board just didn't have the money. We were looking at cutting $50,000, $100,000 anywhere we could, so we made the recommendation to drop to 80%. So all of that time, for 7 years, we've been deferring that 5% both for active members and retirees because they both own the plan. Since the plan is very low, it's the administration's recommendation that the board go back up to 85%. That will mean the difference in about $150,000 to $160,000 annually going into that insurance account. So if we can do that for a few years, it will help build that back up. And that would get the Board of Education rate then that you would be approving today, employee only 85%, would be $591.87 a month. You'd be paying about $7,100 annually for each employee. And keep in mind we pay retirement on that too because that's a board paid benefit. So for certified staff it would be 14.5% on top of that, and for support staff it's 6.86% on top of that. And that helps then the amount that goes into the employee's retirement every year as well. These changes that I mentioned got us down to 19%. We're recommending passing along 12% of that 19%. What that's going to do is cover the $400,000 in administrative claims that we know are a given, and then that will cover $3.4 million in claims. So we're hoping that we have a good year. We hope that ceasing to defer the 5%, the drug rebate increase that we will get with the preferred premium drug list, and the continued discounts from Southeast and Mo-Delta, we hope that to have enough in the claims paying account to end FY18 with a reasonable balance of $500,000 or more. And we're in the same situation we were this time last year, and I was hoping I wouldn't have to stand here and say that the insurance account is low. Well, so what happens if we don't collect enough? And what happens if we're going to get to June 30 and we can't build those balances to where we need to? We would have to ask the Board of Education at that time to make a budget adjustment and put more from the operating side of things into the insurance account to make it whole. And at some point down the line, hope that account is healthy enough to pay back the operating side of things. So, administration's recommendation is to accept the 19% renewal with the changes discussed, set active member rates at a 12% increase with board paid increasing to 85% from 80%, and to set the retirees and the COBRA rates at a 17% increase, because keep in mind, those two categories also had the 5% deferral. So We need to pass the same percentage across the board, increase along to everyone, and the retirees can't have board pay, so the 5% has to go back to them. Bottom line, we anticipate the 17 to 18 Board of Education paid line based on these recommendations to be 2.4 million versus the 2.1 million that we had in for this year. Any questions? Lots of questions that are the answers.
It was good that we had that work session.
I think it worked out very well.
We could ask, get into the weeds with it a bit.
Administration's recommendation to accept this renewal for the health insurance for the June 2017 to May 2018.
Motion? Second. Motion and a second. Any more discussion or any questions for Lori at the confirmed? Or maybe slightly?
Lori, the only thing I want to say about it is, the first thing is, I don't like the fact that we were only given one option. I've heard from several people who have contacted me this week. I think some of them watched the video, and they were a little concerned that there wasn't another option. And the thing that bothers me about it is that we are excluding St. Francis. And the thing that bothers me is that we're giving Southeast Hospital the control over our health coverage by them saying, if you want this discount with us, then you got to get rid of St. Francis. I don't really like that.
Oh, I can't say I like it either.
Yeah, but, I mean, it bothers me. It bothers me that there's a lot of people that are going to be affected by not being able to use St. Francis. And
well, and I agree, and we discussed this at length at the work session. And it's not that there's not more than one option. We have more than one option. It's just not an option that the actuaries, the numbers came in. It's just not even. I mean, we can't afford a 30% increase. People can't afford that out of pocket, and the board can't afford it.
She sent it to 10, or we got 10?
Yes.
Nobody even wanted to offer us anything.
And keep in mind too, that, we tried to do this in February, and the numbers were just so horrific at that time for our claims that we had to put 6 weeks more worth of claims on so that they would start to go down a little to even get to where we are. So I agree. We're just in a society now, we're not the only group there. I hope the changes we made last year would make St. Francis wake up and say, you've got another group that's making changes. There's 400 and something lives on this plan, but they're just not willing to negotiate.
I think that's the long-term benefit of this, not just us. If other school districts say, we're not going to use you, and other organizations, right, other organizations say, we're not going to use you, at some point they're going to have to go, hey, maybe it is us. Maybe we do need to lower our prices.
And Heather, I told the teachers groups every time we met, don't tell me what I can't and can do. It's not in my nature. Don't tell me where I can and can't go. That's not something I want to do. It's just absolutely the nature of the market right now. And the only way we're going to stay self-funded and be successful and not become part of a big consortium that we lose complete control of what happens with our employees' health care is for us to stay self-funded. And right now, the only way we can do that is to control our claims. And hopefully some of these changes will make these claims go down, and then we can put some stuff back in place a few years down the road. But I just don't see any other recommendation that the administration can make at this point.
I just wanted to clarify, in the event of an emergency, St. Francis claims will be processed as in-network?
Yes, they will, because they are our trauma centers. So if you are taken there via helicopter or ambulance in an emergency situation, or if we, as an individual, make a decision on our own, because I've said before, if Dave and I are going to Cape and I think he's having a heart attack, I'm stopping at St. Francis. I'm not going to Southeast. I'm not going to hit all the red lights. And then that's something that we will make sure that our third-party administrator works out, and we will say, they thought it was an emergency situation, it happened to be acid reflux, but you're going to pay because at that time, in their mind, it was an emergency, and we'll make that happen.
A motion and a second. Any further questions, discussions, comments? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Lori, for your diligence. I know that's
It's,
fingernails on the
it
chalkboard.
is, it's a process.
Well, next we have the consideration of student meal and adult meal pricing for 17-18. And Laura's going to continue to stand.
I'm going to continue to see it. It's easier than getting up and down. So, for the new board members that haven't been through this process, Desi has a formula that's several pages long for anything that they do. And so the gist of the formula to set a meal price is they look at what you're charging now locally in each district, and they pick October, for whatever reason. They pick your claims for October, and they look at the number of free, reduced, paid meals that you serve for each grade level. Multiply the number of meals served times the dollar amount that you have set. Then they do a weighted average, and then they look at what federal reimbursement is, and they expect your local money collected to offset any shortages based on 1 month's participation, any shortages that you're going to have between the federal and state rate and what you charge locally. But at least they have a disclaimer. So we've seen years where they said, hey, you need to go up 21 cents. But they do have a disclaimer in there that they can only mandate that you go up a dime. So when we did the calculations this year, I think it was just a little over 11 cents that they wanted us to go up. So we're recommending to the Board of Education that for all meals, student and adult level, that breakfast and lunch go up a dime for the 17-18 school year. The adult rates we have raised more in the past, sometimes as much as a quarter a year, because you can't let adults eat on the back of kids' rates. But we've finally gotten ours up competitive enough for what we pay Aramark for adult meals. We're collecting more than that, so we're at a point there. So that's the recommendation. The exception to this is that the federal government collects, sets reduced rates, and I've been doing this for 21 years. They've never raised them. So reduced breakfast is 30 cents, reduced lunch is 40 cents. I have no idea where the number came from, but that's all we have to charge, so that's what we charge. And at this point in time, the recommendation from both the district and Aramark is to raise everything on the a la carte list a dime, just for basically just cost of gas increase, those types of things. Hugh will look at his end of year reports, and if there are some items that he can go down on or go up on, needs to go up on more, we'll bring those to you in June.
I move we accept the recommendation to go up 10%.
10 cents. 10 cents. I may have said percent.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
you didn't. You said 10 cents, and I just was thinking percent. But yeah, 10 cents on adult and student meals and a la carte.
Quick question, I keep hearing, maybe more than anything, was there, supposedly there was supposed to be some action taken by the new administration to change some of the meals that we currently?
Their guidelines, yes.
There are some changes in the budget document that I don't think has been ratified yet.
There were 3 things. The main one was they limit how much salt you can put in school meals. They're going to let us stay at this level for at least 3 more years, so they backed that up a little bit. And there were a couple other things, but it wasn't anything like we were hoping for. We don't have to stick with whole grain on...
It's only for 1 year, though.
Yes, it's only for 1 year, so we don't have to stick with whole grain on some items,
Right.
and we're able to bring 1% milk back in if we choose to do so.
So we're currently serving skim chocolate milk and 1% white.
Sounds lovely.
As is mandated. And they're saying that we can now use 1% chocolate milk.
So that's all we got out of it. Yeah.
There was a lot of, sorry to.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any
We
more?
don't have to second that.
Discussion.
Excuse me.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Laura, you can go ahead and go if you like.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, they said they the chauffeur.
Dave Nightingale.
We'll go on to the next item.
Austin Herville.
We have the consideration of the chiller bids for Southeast Elementary, and Mike's going to present that information or that recommendation.
Let Lori or Shannon do this, they can talk fast and breathe. The chiller at Southeast Elementary right now is operating on half capacity. We didn't replace it back there in 2012 when we did our performance contract. because we thought we might get to walk away from that building, but we're going to have to replace it. The reason for the budget adjustment that we talked about a while ago is I need to get it ordered now so that we can get it installed this summer. If I have to wait till next year's budget, I won't have the unit in time. We will do the installation on it. We sent out requests for bids from 3 different vendors, Presley, Cocair, and Premium Mechanical, and it's my recommendation that we accept Presley sales and service for $35,600. And then we will have some additional costs that we will have for the welding and piping, that $3,000 to $5,000 roughly.
Mike, does that,
I agree. Does that affect the warranty any though, with you guys installing that?
It carries some warranty with it. They will come and do a startup on the units, and they kind of check and make sure.
Who's they, Presley well?
The Presley, whoever we order the unit from, and the additional cost is, if we had someone else come in and do it, would probably be in the neighborhood of $15,000 if they're going to get. And my guys are very qualified. We've been doing this for quite a while. To me, it's not really a gamble.
no, I think what he was asking, does that affect the warranty by them not installing it?
It doesn't on the, well, I'd have to be,
I mean, obviously,
some specifics.
labor, it wouldn't, but on the actual piece of equipment isn't affected.
We do still get a warranty. I'm not sure if it'll be as long a warranty with us doing the installation. I'd be glad to look that up.
I don't think that's gonna affect the way I vote, but I'm just curious.
If I were to install something, I guarantee it would affect me.
Well, maybe they'd be willing to tell you and put in writing that they're gonna honor the warranties if they put it in. Maybe they'll do that.
To carry your unit, I'm assuming? Since it's
This is
Presley?
carry, yes.
So,
And it's an identical unit to one we had.
It is identical, that's what I was gonna ask you.
At another location where we kind of have part interchangeability when we order and have something on the shelves. We try to do that as much as possible, but we can't always do it.
I would make a motion that we accept Mike's recommendation to go with Presley sales and service for the chiller.
Second.
motion and a second, any more discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
There's also a typo in there where I put water instead of chiller down there. I copied and pasted it off another time. Sorry, I missed that.
Next, we have the consideration of roofing bids, and Mike's going to also present that information.
We're trying to keep on track with our roofing replacement schedule, and one that really wasn't on schedule currently, but in the past is we did an experiment on this building. It was a small occasion with the welding shop, and it's been leaking bad. So I pushed this one in here to get it covered. And then 5th and 6th grade, the remaining 2 sections over there. And kindergarten, I went ahead and got bids. Had no idea kind of where I was going to come in with those. If we get the roofing manufacturing company that we talked to said that they were going to give a percentage cut this year where we could get a 0.60 mil roofing at the same price we normally put a 0.45 on. And so I was trying to see if we could get enough roofing to, the more you buy, the cheaper it gets, but it turned out it was going to be too much to include kindergarten in there. But I went ahead and included this to you for information because next year's money, we're going to have about $400,000 to get part of kindergarten done because there's asbestos in the older portion of the building. But for the 5th and 6th grade, section 1, and first of all, we had 4 different companies who responded to our bids, and we solicited that from 7 companies. And that's Pyramid Roofing, Missouri Builders, Lakeside Roofing, and Osmond Roofing. And I've sent in your packet there the breakdown of all the numbers that they had. Osmond Roofing had the lowest cost on this unit on section 1 for $46,500. You want me to do these all at once or separately? Or?
We can do it all at once.
So then, section 2, 5th and 6th grade, Osmond had the lowest number there for $44,374. For the B building project, on the first 2 sections there of 5th and 6th grade, I do not expect to have to get into the substrate, the insulation and the decking on those buildings at all because they're in good shape as far as they're not leaking currently. They need to be replaced, but they're not leaking. And on this one though, the substrate, we're gonna have quite a bit of it that's wet. And I'm just making an estimate that's probably gonna be about 50% of it, but I went ahead and included the worst case scenario in case we got in there and we actually had to do more than that. But it's my recommendation to accept Osmond Roofing's bid of $44,375, and you have the numbers in there for the worst case scenario too.
Mike, do you know why there's such a disparity?
That's what I was wondering.
The pricing from Osmond versus the other three bidders?
They have been quite a bit cheaper on everything we've done in the past few years, and we've got quality work from them. I don't know if they just can take a hit, not make as big a profit. I have no idea. Because they all turn in sealed bids. Nobody has an idea of knowing what anybody else is doing.
Right.
And they're out of Jonesboro?
Yes, sir.
It's incredible to me that they can travel from Jonesboro and beat Pyramid beat their pants off.
And historically, we've seen these same kind of numbers, that it's really, the Pyramid.
But it's not just Pyramid, I mean, the other ones are even much higher. It's
That was my comment that I even made.
It's not even close.
No.
It's like, I mean, it's just.
But we've used them in the
I have
past.
at least 4 locations where and I haven't had an ounce of trouble out of any of them. This particular roofing membrane has been out with the same chemical composition for over 30 years, and they still have it on roofs that they installed 30 years ago. And that's why this is the one I push for.
The others union
Not Lloyd Star.
I mean, I know Lloyd's not, but I don't know about the other.
Even if they're union, I don't see how that comes into play because we have prevailing wage, which should.
Oh, well, I guess that's right, everybody would have to pay that, I didn't care about that.
Do you know where you want here?
I guess they just have a sharper pencil.
Well,
Very sharp.
you know,
Yeah, it changed.
And I just gave you the right numbers.
So
I
sure
looked
would
up.
like to use Pyramid.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
all would, it's just,
Well, that's just my recommendation. You guys have to make the decision. Who we
Wow.
use.
it's a clear-cut decision, I think.
So are we just looking at right now the 5th and 6th grade center? We're talking about that?
That's the
For
first two
same-
sections, and on the B building, which I think I looked at the wrong number that I just told you. The number there for B building with a 50% replacement would be $64,150.
We have to do B.
Yeah, it
That's
has
a
to be.
lot.
Well,
It's been in a problem now for several months. Has it not, Mike?
Longer than that.
Yeah, longer than that, so.
I would make a recommendation that we use Osmond Roofing for the 3 projects and going ahead and giving approval that on B building, he's got to go to 100%. We approve that
I'll second.
if it's needed.
So that's 155,000, and then if you add the 100%, it raises it another 25 to 100.
It's around the 180,000.
180, yeah,
Total.
total, worst case scenario.
Yes, sir. I'm hoping to have money left over to be able to do central office here, needs a roof. Pavilion down there, we definitely need a roof on it as well, so.
So when would they start this summer?
Yes.
And sometime after July 1 would require payment?
As far as we would have to pay them to come out?
Yes.
They've never demanded any percentage up front. It's just when we got finished with the job, they would probably do all 3 of them if they required any. My goal is to get B building done first and get that scratched off the list so I can stop the water.
For roofing jobs, we traditionally try to do them as turnkey jobs, so we don't have to, if we don't do it as a turnkey job, we really need to think about a performance bond in addition to a payment bond, which you have to have the payment bond. You don't have to have the performance bond by law, but if you do if you don't do a turnkey job, you really got to think about that because you don't want to be in a position where the company goes bankrupt or or walks off the job or whatever. So if you've still got the money though, you can just say, we're not, you know,
Yeah.
you walk off, we, nice knowing you. So that's how we structure them traditionally.
There's no draws or anything?
There's no, it's a turnkey job. You get done, the architect signs off on it, you get a check.
These are actually three separate deals, or four
Yeah,
separate.
we'll do three separate.
Three separate deals, two sections on
Three
it.
motions?
No,
Oh,
you
oh,
do them
okay.
all as one, we'll do three separate contracts.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I went to bat for Pyramid to try to get them as a vendor and installer for this company, because at first they were not. And I talked to them and asked them about it. Last year they weren't interested in it, but because they do good work, you know, I have no problems at all with using them.
I would second Chad's motion.
Yeah, you.
Oh,
you
yeah.
already-
Oh, you already did?
Yeah. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rebecca, second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
And lastly, for Mike, we had a consideration of solid waste management bid. And that is, seemed like we did that yesterday, but that's up for bid again.
Yeah, I double checked with Kathy, and this is our in 3 years.
Okay.
And we actually only had one bid turned in, I solicited, advertised it in the paper, and they were the only ones who responded, and their numbers were $39,597. This can vary a few dollars in the year, because sometimes we'll call and request more pickups because we had a big event or something, but it'd be just $2. So that's my recommendation, that we continue to sell solid waste for this amount.
How does that compare to the previous?
I believe it went up about $3,000 to $4,000.
I move we accept Sonny's bid.
A second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Okay, lastly, we have the approval of paid bills for April
Thanks, Mike.
2015.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
It's my recommendation to accept
Yeah,
the bills.
and I will need to abstain.
Okay, so we'll call vote.
Yes, please.
I'd move to accept them with a roll call vote.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Crumpler,
Yes.
Ms. Drury,
Yes.
Ms. Boyce.
Yes.
Ms. Wees,
Yes.
Ms. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Alcorn.
Yes.
Abstain. Mr. Tanner abstains.
My father-in-law's on there too.
Right. I'll turn it over to you.
All right, see if I can do all this in one break. The consent agenda items are as follows: the approval of the minutes from the special session April 3rd, 2017, executive session April 3rd, 2017, work session April 11th, 2017, organizational meeting April 11th, 2017, regular session April 11th, 2017, executive session April 11th, 2017, special work session April 24th, 2017, executive session April 24th, 2017, ratification of substitute teacher report, acceptance of employee resignations, Brittany Willis, Brittany Becker, Alexis Halter, Chelsea Rodman, and the approval of Gilmore and Bell disclosure compliance services.
I move we approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then we entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Kathy, are you going over to Pittston? We'll be over there shortly.
I will say, I need to take it up from the.
Well,